what are amongst the best ways to protect your assets in a divorce? Well, my name is Goldman. I'm the director and founder of Goldman and Associates. Our firm has a primary focus on family law issues here in Michigan. And today, we're going to continue our video series designed to educate and inform the public, so please subscribe to our channel. This particular question is a very important question because if there's a divorce, then your assets may be in jeopardy. Are they marital assets or non-marital assets? It's always going to be an issue. So, when we talk about family law, and we talk about these kinds of things, it's very important to educate the public on what is in play, so to speak, should there be a divorce. So the first thing we have to look at, we have to realize there's a difference between separate property and marital property. You should presume any property that is either acquired or developed during the marriage might well be part of the consideration as we start dividing stuff. So what it really tells you is that while these things are in consideration, there may be things that are not in consideration. What might those be? Well, property acquired before the marriage, for one, may not be part of the marital division. It may be part of the marital division if it was commingled into the marriage or somehow taken from the status of being separate property and made marital property. So that's something you got to think about. Now, even if it is something that you acquired before the marriage, is it subject to a prenuptial agreement? A prenuptial agreement, for that matter, even a postnuptial agreement, might well address what happens to a particular property if we get a divorce. What happens with a particular set of assets? And it may say in that agreement, in the event of a divorce, these things remain separate property of this person. And that is a way that one might protect these kind of assets. Now, even if we don't have that, and we have, let's say, a business, and it was started during the marriage, so it's not subject to pre-nuptial agreements, and that's not part of that. There's no question that it's a marital asset. Still, the question is, what's the value of the business? Somebody might say, it's worth $1 million. How much did you make last year? $1 million. That's great. But it doesn't mean the business is worth $1 million because the business made $1 million. The business may have made $1 million and spent $900,000 on salary and promotion and marketing and equipment and maintenance of equipment and insurance and all of these things. So the business itself might not be worth that amount of money. What you might want to look at, and there are different ways to evaluate a business. Now, on the other hand, if a business has made its owners a certain amount of money reliably over the last X amount of years, then you could say, okay, that's what, maybe that's one factor that goes into the valuation of a business. I will tell you this, when we have businesses and we're trying to figure out what they're worth, we will typically hire experts. It's going to be part of most divorce cases. The court's not going to know what that business is worth. The one who's keeping the business is going to say it's not worth anything. The one who wants a piece of business is going to say it's worth everything because they want a bigger piece. So the court will likely turn to experts to determine what the appropriate valuation of the business is. And the court, lastly, has got to make an equitable distribution of the property. If the court finds that a fair value of the business is that it's worth $500,000, then that means that $250,000 is going to one, $250,000 is going to the other, right? So that means the court's going to say, look, if you're keeping this business, you got to pay him $250,000. If you don't have the cash, maybe he gets the house. Maybe he gets more of the 401k. If the shoe's on the other foot and you've got to pay the wife, well, maybe there's another way. Maybe we take on more debt. We do something to give value of $250,000 to compensate for the appropriate valuation of that business. Now, if you have any questions about that, reach out. We'll be glad to help you out.